Michigan shared the view at the top with Florida State.
Understand this. We have a chance to do something special this season, and we won't be denied.
2 weeks later, Michigan's emotional win over Ohio State means the consensus #1 team in the country.
You see this big house, baby? They gonna follow us to the Rose Bowl, baby. We did it, and we #1, baby.
Nebraska nearly smelled defeat on Thanksgiving weekend, barely escaping Boulder with a 27-24 win. With only the Big 12 title game remaining, the Huskers lost significant ground in both polls.
Sometimes this whole thing with the polls is bad for you because, I mean, the first couple series of the fourth quarter, I was trying to hurry up and get plays run because we wanted to score some points.
If the 54-15 drubbing of Texas A&M came as no surprise, the announcement of Tom Osborne's retirement December 10th certainly did.
Coaches leave for 2 reasons. Either they're fired or they got a better deal. And I don't have a better deal.
And neither will the Huskers should an undefeated season leave them without a national title. Such is the power of the polls.
Well, the Huskers and the Volunteers await. Here was the scene at the Rose Bowl. Charles Woodson confident the Wolverines would take home the unanimous national title. Certainly history is on the Wolverines side. We told you earlier about the fact that no AP #1 has ever won their bowl game and dropped. The Michigan side about to be the first with a 69-1 edge in first place votes. But it's an inexact science in this sport, unlike any other, where public opinion polls determine a national championship, and you can go perfect throughout a season, never lose, and not win a title. Can you think of another sport? So Michigan, which has waited a half-century for this moment, would have to wait and hope for a few more hours. Here's Mark Schwartz.
Michigan has waited 50 years for a national championship, and the Wolverines are still feeling the weight. Nothing's official until the votes are counted. Just as at the Rose Bowl, nothing counted until the officials ruled.
I ran on that field when everybody else did, hoping that if there was any doubt in those officials' mind, that there'd be too many people to keep off the field.
If Carr had trouble believing his eyes, you could hardly blame him. Here's a guy who's been vilified by fans and by the media for a pair of 4 lost seasons and for not measuring up to the legacy of his mentor, Bo Schembechler. This summer, Carr realized it was eating him up.
I understood that if I didn't get a grasp on it, that it was going to kill me. And I was determined not to let this job kill me.
Carr did find a way to handle his critics, but how would he react to the prospect of sharing the title with Nebraska?
I would be less than honest if I didn't say I'd be disappointed. And I would be disappointed. I think our team would be disappointed, but, you know, disappointment's part of life.
How nervous are you going to be tonight when you watch Nebraska and Tennessee about the outcome?
See, I'm not even going to watch the game. I'd rather go to the Laker game than sit down and watch that game because to me it doesn't matter. I mean, and technically Nebraska lost the game this year. They just didn't put it on their record. I mean, that's just the way I see it. They slipped when they were #1. When we were #1, we stayed there.
Only once has a #1 been denied a unanimous national championship despite a victory on New Year's Day. Colorado lost the top spot in the coaches poll 7 years ago to Georgia Tech, which crushed its opponent in the Citrus Bowl. That opponent, Chris? Nebraska.
Mark, thank you. We were here in Miami for that situation where Colorado won the Orange Bowl and then dropped behind Georgia Tech. The lead is a little bit bigger for Michigan this time around. Obviously, if Tennessee wins, there's no question. What if both teams are undefeated?
Well, first of all, the big question around the country now, who's #1? It's an emotional issue. If you're wearing the color red, you think it's Nebraska. If you're wearing blue, you think it's Michigan. Let's take a non-emotional look at this situation. Now, the one on the left is Michigan. Look at that. 12-12, that's even. But look at the advantage Nebraska has over Michigan and beating opponents. Look at the advantage that Nebraska has over the bowl records. Now, you tell me that if Nebraska beats Tennessee, they don't deserve a piece of the title? I mean, if it was the other way around, Michigan would be beaten. I I think Michigan and Nebraska should be a split poll if Nebraska beats Tennessee.
You know, I think a lot of times people get caught up in the debate about who looks better in a bowl game. This is about a culmination of an entire season. Where Nebraska hurt themselves was, of course, in a Missouri game and then also against Colorado. But with how close that Rose Bowl game was, I think the door has been opened a little bit for Nebraska. If they blow Tennessee out, they have a chance, but they have 23 coaches, and that coaches poll they got to sway over.
Undefeated teams have gone uncrowned. It was Nebraska benefiting, Penn State getting burned in '94, but never a 13-0 team. More from Miami later. Let's go back to SportsCenter.
AP writers' side, the unbiased version, as Michigan rightfully lost some of their 69-1 first-place vote lead, but we're still comfortably in front, as you can see, 51.5 to 18.5 in the final release this morning. But in the coaches' poll, Nebraska somehow picks up an unprecedented 23.5 votes, which had been Michigan's. So they base it on one game. Nebraska gets the top vote by 2. So with the Wolverines scattered across the country, now on winter break, and Carr on a recruiting trip, the 63-year-old AP National Championship trophy was indeed presented to a handful of players and coaches at Chrysler Arena today. Co-captain John Jansen had the honor of playing Stevie Eiserman, sharing the moment with the sellout crowd at halftime of the basketball game. Clawson native told Fred Heumann it was a special moment to be cherished.
Tell me what was going through your mind as you were doing the lap out there.
Oh, I tell you what, it's just a great feeling. You know, I wish everybody could be here right now. It's unfortunate we're on break, but we're just having a great time celebrating. I know everybody at home's probably watching, and we're having just a great time, just enjoying the moment.
As we told you earlier in the hour, a split #1 in college football. The AP giving Michigan the nod, while the coaches poll went to Nebraska. Let's take a look at the rest of the AP poll. For the 11th straight year, Florida State finishes in the top 4. UCLA won 10 straight games to finish 5th. Carolina had its highest finish ever, while Tennessee drops 4 spots to number 7. K-State finished 8th following their winningest season in history. While Auburn just missed cracking the top 10, and Purdue completes its turnaround with their highest finish since 1980. The preseason #1 Penn State ends up a disappointing 16th, while Washington, who also started the year with national title aspirations, finished 18th. Missouri, the only team that even came close to beating Nebraska this year, finished in the rankings for the first time in 16 seasons.